What are the main differences between a phone camera and a camera? Hi, and welcome to episode 75 of the Photography Explained podcast. I'm your host Rick, and in each episode I will try to explain one photographic thing to you in plain English in less than 10 minutes-ish without the irrelevant details. What I tell you is based on my lifetime of photographic experience and not Google. Before I go on, if you have a question you would like me to answer, just go to photographyexplainedpodcast.com/start. Here is, as I like to call it, the answery bit. Phone cameras have smaller sensors than cameras, have fixed lenses, and are used in a slightly different way than cameras to take photos. The accessories you can get for phones are relatively limited. Cameras have larger sensors and you can change the lenses. There are more accessories available for cameras than there are for phones. Cameras are generally still better than phones for taking photos, but you can get great photos with phones. Now, this is in very general terms. Obviously, you could call me out either way on this one, but this is in general. It's not a science. This is just me telling you some general stuff that you might not have known. Actually, there's stuff in here that I didn't know, so thank you, Google. Other search engines are available, of course. Right, what I'd like to do is compare some stuff quickly using my Canon 6D and my iPhone XS as the examples. These are the two things that I use after all. Number one, sensor size. On the Canon 6D, 36mm by 24mm. On the iPhone XS, it is 7.01mm by 5.79mm. Now in photography, in general terms, the larger the sensor, the better the image quality. That's in general terms comparing likes with likes. Likes with likes? I meant like with like. Number two, lenses. Canon 6D, I can have pretty much whatever I want. Just a case of money. iPhone XS, two lenses on the back of the phone and a forward-facing selfie lens. And you can put additional lenses onto a phone. I forgot that in my notes, but that's, yes, there are notes. I forgot that, so well remembered, Rick. 3. Focal length. Canon 6D, whatever I want. The list of lenses is pretty much endless. It's just a case of money. Out of interest, I use a Canon 17 to 40mm lens for my architectural stuff. iPhone XS, the main lens, 4.25mm, which is an equivalent focal length of 26mm on a full-frame camera. This is a wide-angle lens. iPhone XS telephoto lens has a focal length of 6mm, which is equivalent to 52mm on a full-frame camera. So it's not telephoto, it's actually a standard lens. Telephoto on a full-frame camera is anything over 60mm. 52mm is a standard focal length lens. Now I did find lots of different numbers for this, but the important bit is this. The Canon 6D, any focal length that I can get a lens for. Easy for me to say. iPhone, a wide-angle lens and a standard lens. Let's not get hung up on the numbers. We're not going into that much detail, are we? Aperture, the opening through which the photo's taken. Canon 6D, whatever I want, depends on the lens. Widest aperture for a Canon lens is f1.2, smallest f32, there's probably smaller than that. But in general terms, I'm in the f4 to f16 range. Now, iPhone XS wide-angle lens f1.8. iPhone XS telephoto lens f2.4. Now, there are crop factors that apply to these because of the different sensor sizes. Check out other episodes for that, but I'm not going to get into that here. The point here is on my Canon 6D, I choose the aperture. On my iPhone, it's fixed for each lens, so you can't change it. If I got that wrong, someone let me know. ISO, also known as the sensitivity of the sensor to light. On the Canon 6D, the range is 100 to 25,600. On the iPhone, the range is 24 to 2,304. Now, I didn't know that. That's another bit of research. What I do know is that I don't know how to change the ISO on my phone. I don't know if I can. I don't know if it's an automatic thing or if I need to get an app. And I've never thought about doing it. I'll come on to that later. On the Canon 6D, I have full control of the ISO and I set it for every shoot depending on a number of factors which I won't go into here. Number 6, resolution, just some straight numbers. Canon 6D 20.2 megapixels, iPhone XS 12 megapixels. The Canon 6D has a much higher resolution and it's also on a bigger sensor, let us not forget. But the iPhone has a 12 megapixel sensor, which I have to say, it's a phone, it's not a camera. 12 megapixel sensor is absolutely remarkable. 7, accessories. With the Canon 6D, I can get pretty much anything I want. I've not found something that I can't. Well, I don't know what I don't know, but yeah, the range is endless. However, iPhone XS, there is a relatively limited range of accessories photography-wise. Number 8, apps. On the Canon 6D, there is the Canon Connect app. That's it. There is no more. That's just a way of connecting the camera to other stuff. Obviously, with the iPhone XS, pretty much everything and anything available on the App Store. More apps than I know what to do with. Video. Now, I talked about taking videos with phones in the last episode, so let's just do the quick comparison here. Canon 6D takes videos at 1920 by 1080. iPhone XS 720, 1080 and 4K. The Canon 6D doesn't do 4K, the iPhone does. The point here is, I've taken one video with my Canon 6D. I've taken hundreds and hundreds and hundreds with my iPhone. And I know that 4K is better than the other resolutions. Number 10, taking a photo. Canon 6D, love it. iPhone XS, I hate it. I love taking photos with my Canon 6D, but I hate taking photos with my phone. I just don't like it. It's the shape of it, the handling of it, I think is dreadful. I'm going to get some complaints for that one, aren't I? Number 11, viewing a photo that you've taken. Canon 6D, hate it. iPhone XS, love it. The LCD screen on my Canon 6D is quite frankly rubbish. The screen on my iPhone is, quite frankly, amazing. Number 12, sharing a photo. Canon 6D, give me a couple of days. iPhone XS, give me a second. The immediacy of the iPhone is amazing. The lack of immediacy with the Canon 6D was never a problem until phones with cameras were unleashed on the world. And immediate sharing is, of course, so popular these days, but not that long ago, we didn't even do it. Would you believe? Can you remember those days? 13. Other stuff. Canon 6D, not a lot. iPhone XS, lots. I know, my Canon 6D is a camera, my iPhone is a phone, and so much more than the phone. Number 14. Speaking to other people. Well, I can't phone anyone from a Canon 6D. But I can from my iPhone. Just saying. The talky bit. I have to say that in some ways comparing phones to cameras is a bit unfair. Cameras are cameras and phones are our day-to-day everything. One fits in a pocket, the other does not. Unless you got massive pockets, that is. But this is what we do. We compare things. We need to know which is better. But you know what? They are both amazing. Cameras can take amazing photos, but they don't do a lot more. Phones can take amazing photos, and they do a lot more than that, as we all know. And let's not forget, you can take rubbish photos with a camera or with a phone. One last thing. Taking photos with a phone is different from taking photos with a camera. Now, whilst that might sound obvious, let's just think about that for a second. This is a good point, I think. Well done, Rick. With my Canon 6D, there are lots of settings that I have to make sure are correct. With my iPhone, I just take the photo. So the Canon 6D, it's a deliberate act to set things to get what I want. With my iPhone, it's not. I don't think about it. I just hold my phone up and touch the screen. And I thought about that a little bit further, which is always a dangerous thing with me. You don't want me doing this because who knows where it might end up. I was just thinking, for anyone getting into photography with a phone first in this day and age, all that stuff you need to do with the camera, aperture, shutter, ISO, all the other stuff, it might just seem completely alien. Imagine somebody picking up a camera and it not having any connectivity. They'll just think you're bonkers. And I think this will drive cameras of the future, and this is my visionary thing. We never thought that would happen, did we? Okay then, my one-line summary. Not that I'm oversimplifying this, but brace yourselves. Cameras are bigger than phones, and that applies to everything related. Cameras take photos, phones take photos, and do lots more. Next episode. Episode 76. Here we go. I've taken that thought from before and I've applied it to the next episode in the episode titled, Is it better to take photos with a camera or a phone? Well, what do you think? Let me know. I'm going to wrap up my thoughts on phones and photography for now and get into some more nitty-gritty photography stuff. Looking forward to this one because I've got things to say about this which you might not have thought about. You might have done, but you might not. Going weekly. I'm loving being weekly. It gives me more time to think and work on what I'm saying and also to work on other stuff in the background which will make for much better listening and reading for all of you good folks out there. This week's shout out is to Terry all the way over there in New South Wales, Australia. Thanks for the emails, Terry. It was lovely to hear from you and to communicate with you, and I'm glad you found my podcast helpful. I'm done. Thanks for listening to my small but perfectly formed podcast. To find out more about my podcast and do stuff to help me, check out photographyexplainedpodcast.com/start. This episode was brought to you by a very nice coffee. Cheers. I've been Rick McAvoy. Thanks again very much for listening to me and for giving me 13 minutes of your valuable time, and I will see you on the next episode. Cheers from me, Rick.